Tyson Fury, white privilege, Deontay Wilder. Let's go. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I don't know why some of you guys choose to challenge the Don, the king of this boxing talk, but I told you this video was coming. I want to make it extremely clear. Wilder had previously made some comments that have been misconstrued, and we're going to break that down. Wilder, before we get started, we're going to play the clip where he explains how white privilege is something that exists in the world of boxing. And I'll give you some of my thoughts afterwards.
You know, there's been a lot been said on both sides, but I want to give you the floor. On that night, February 22nd of last year, you know, you suffered your first career defeat, you know, relinquishing your title, but what happened? You and I have given you the floor to set the record straight as you head into this third fight with Tyson Fury.
You know, Ray, I'm a type of person of what's understood don't have to be explained. I mean, this situation has been discussed and talked about for like 17 months, you know what I'm saying? And it seemed like the finger is always pointing on me. But we already know why, because you see this lovely smooth black skin, and other people have white privilege. And this is
now, right there, Deontay Wilder mentions smooth black skin. He said, you see this smooth black skin and there's white privilege and the finger's always pointed on me. A lot of people have found a way to, or attempted to, misconstrue what he's saying and say he lost to Tyson Fury in the second fight based on white privilege, right? Guys like Paulie Malignaggi. This is what we're talking about and it's actually proven the point, and I'll explain that in this video. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about. People are exacerbating the point and trying to convolute what he's saying. He didn't say he lost to Tyson Fury based on white privilege. So I don't know where people even got that, right? You seen Jermell Charlo said all race matter or whatever he said. Race doesn't matter. Skills pay the bill. Paulie said what he said. He didn't say he lost because of that. However, in this same interview, Deontay Wilder explicitly identifies that he believes Tyson Fury cheated in the fight, right? He cheated in the second fight, the fight where he got the victory, right? So I'm not the smartest brother in the world, but I do believe he's referring to white privilege is what protected Tyson Fury. Nobody investigated, nobody looked into it, and nobody took proper precautions to prevent it. That's what he's talking about. He didn't say, oh, I lost because of he was a white guy or his white privilege. He's saying that he told you in this interview he cheated. I believe he cheated, and because of white privilege, nobody looked at him, even though he has cheating in his past. He's failed multiple drug tests. He had this Martin Carefoot dude come back out of nowhere, say, I never sold him wild boar meat, which was his only alibi to explain away the nandrolone failed drug test, etc. That's what he's talking about. So I don't understand why this is such a hard concept for people to understand, but there you have it.
But we already know why, because you see this lovely smooth black skin, and other people have white privileges. And this is, white privilege in boxing is very well alive, and it's okay. You know, other people, a lot of other fighters with the same skin complexion they better get smart. They better understand, and they better realize what side they're on. You know what I mean? And everybody always want to talk about me and me when I don't even say nothing. You know what I mean? And they keep me relevant, and I appreciate it. I love it. I love when people don't know what they're talking about when they're talking about Deontay Wilder. I love when they make up different things about what I said or whatever, you know. I love that because it allowed me to know how important I am, not only to boxing, but to the world. You know, when there's a lot of other people that do a lot of things, like look at all the drug cheats we got in boxing. And how often do you hear about them?
Now, Deontay Wilder was somehow having technical difficulties in that PBC interview, so he was cut off right when he started cooking about drug cheats in boxing and white privilege. What a coincidence. Now, moving on to my next point. I made a video about this, but this is Tyson Fury, and he's being asked by reporter Nicholas Wallace, and he was being asked about some repulsive things that he had previously said in a rant, and you'll see Tyson Fury, Mr. White Privilege, you'll see how he responded to these questions, and I've included subtitles.
You've said things in the past which people have found abhorrent. They've accused you of misogyny, they've accused you of homophobia.
No comment, don't even go there.
The reporter says you have said things that people found abhorrent. You've been accused of misogyny and homophobia. And he said, no comment, don't go there. He didn't want no parts of hearing this from a reporter. So people, again, we're talking about Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Why did he have headphones? But you see Tyson Fury's face. You see a reporter face to face. This is from an actual video. A UK reporter is asking him questions about things he said. Tyson Fury said these things. They said, you've been accused of misogyny and this and that. And he said, no comment. He cuts him off right there.
But do you accept that you've got to win over a larger number of people coming back this time before you could be fully accepted?
No comment.
You don't want to say anything about that at all?
No comment.
People won't like that if they hear you no commenting.
No comment.
Okay.
I'm a boxer. I'm not interested in politics or anything else. Boxing only, thank you.
UKAD have upheld the...
No comment.
You don't want to talk about the natural end thing?
No comment.
The question that we asked...
Boxing, please. Terminated.
You don't want to talk about...
No comment.
Y'all are really making it too easy for me. Make sure y'all smash the like button. Now we cooking with grease. This is Tyson Fury, who was about to fight a fighter, Derek Chisora, and he received a punishment for misconduct. Misconduct for things that he said. He said things, this is Tyson Fury, and then when Wilder's saying white privilege exists and stuff, and people are acting like they can't understand why he would say that and this and that and the third, maybe this will help you guys understand. So Tyson Fury was preparing for a fight with Derek Chisora. In this particular press conference, before the fight with Derek Chisora, Tyson Fury taped his mouth shut and refused to speak. Reason being, he was fined £15,000 for misconduct. Let's take a look at it. Let's take a listen.
Tyson, do you find it difficult, you're an outgoing personality, to have to restrict your voice the way you have in this press conference?
So, a bunch of people were saying that Deontay Wilder, he was wrong for not speaking to the media. You had ESPN, they had Andre Ward, Tim Bradley, and most of the people insinuated that Wilder was showing signs of weakness by not speaking to media, this, that, and the third. But look at Tyson Fury. He's being asked questions by media. He's angry because he had a rant, an expletive-laden rant, and for the rant and what he said, he got misconduct, and then they voted on it, and I guess he had to pay a fine. So he put BBBFC, which is the British Board of Boxing, blah, 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 and he refused to speak. And once again, Wilder is called a yellow belly, a coward. People are saying that Wilder is ducking the media, as if media was going to do something to Wilder. This is a pure knockout artist. So when Tyson Fury is insanely quiet, tapes his mouth for the whole press conference, and won't speak to anybody and has to speak through then promoter Mick Hennessy, nobody complained. Wilder told you what his intent was. He said, my mind is very violent right now. And I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Oh my God. He said, he already told you, he believes Fury's a cheater, right? He says that payback is coming, retribution and reparations are due, and retaliation is a must. And I'm training, and I'm happy for my lawyers that we won the arbitration. Fury, pay me back what you owe me, which is the third fight. He already said, and media is angry, and boxing fans are angry because Wilder, to me, some people look at this as a weakness that Wilder had the headphones. Wilder wasn't playing Tyson Fury's games. Tyson Fury's like Loki from Thor, the master of mischief, right? He's like a jackal. He's not playing the mind games. Wilder's not into the skullduggery right now. He's trying to train, eat, sleep, be with his family, and train to take the man's head off of the person he believes wronged him. It's a very easy concept. But as I keep showing the courtroom, and I'm treating this like a court case, Your Honor, when Tyson Fury does not speak to the media, nobody says it's a sign of weakness. Keep in mind, Tyson Fury is undefeated. So yeah, he did this gag and he won this fight because he's undefeated. So of course he won versus Derek Chisora both times that he fought him. Otherwise he wouldn't be undefeated. So when Wilder has headphones on, people insinuate that Wilder is somehow showing weakness and he didn't want to speak and face the music and stuff like that. But Tyson Fury did this gag and gagged himself and put a gag order on himself, put duct tape on his mouth. One, nobody complained, white privilege. Maybe this will help you understand. And then two, he won the fight. But when it comes to a black fighter, an American Olympian, you have American media that said, oh, this is repulsive, absolutely disgusting from Deontay Wilder. And how could he not speak to media? He did speak. He got on the podium, said a few words. His trainer, shout out to Malik Scott, he did a wonderful job, very eloquent, very expert. Like you would think that he'd been a longtime trainer for Wilder because he answered every question. He even engaged with some back and forth for Fury. So when I'm talking about white privilege, when Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder from Tuscaloosa, Alabama to the day is talking about white privilege, you see it. I'm showing you. Tyson Fury, he's
using your sign language, which you...
The man says using your sign language. Why? Because Tyson Fury won't speak. And he thinks this is cute. He thinks this is funny. So let me get this straight. If you're a 6'9" Caucasian fighter, Gypsy King is what they call him, this stuff is okay. But Wilder, he didn't do all the tape on his mouth. He did say a few words, but he had headphones on. And he's like, it's blasphemy. And he's marginalized as a scary fighter and somebody who's afraid to face the music. This, might I add, as let the record show, Tyson Fury, the reason he was protesting or whatever this was supposed to be against the BBBFC is because of something he did. So I just showed you the clip of the other interviewer where he was like, no comment, no comment, no comment, terminated. And he just terminated the interview and the guy is in his face and he won't do the one-on-one that he agreed to because the guys start asking tough questions about what he said, about what Tyson Fury said, about things that this man did, just like right here. So when we're talking about white privilege, you see it. When Fury is asked the tough questions from media, he wanted no parts of it. He said, no comment, terminated. When he didn't like the end result to his own behavior, this is a man with no accountability. He thinks he could just say anything at any time and it's all love. That's what I'm talking about. Look.
You've showed us all you're very good at today. Could you just show me how angry you were when you found out the first fight was called off at such late notice?
See, and the funny thing is this, Tyson Fury is doing all this charade and the reporter, the UK reporter, has no problem with Tyson Fury doing all this and not giving a proper interview to him. He's doing fake sign language. Again,
using your special sign language and mine, can you just sort of show us how the first fight would have gone had it taken place?
See, you hear the reporter laughing.
What's your prediction for this fight, Tyson?
Round one.
First round knockout? Do you think Derek has improved at all as a boxer since the first time you boxed?
So this is funny. The whole interview is like this. Look.
Rip that tape off and just say your opinion to the world? Will you urge
Listen.
to rip that?
The reporter says, do you want to rip the tape off and give some opinions and talk to the world? He said, no.
Filmed and watched lawyer press conferences over the years. Do you just feel the urge to rip that tape off and just say your opinion to the world? Do you feel you're a lot calmer person now than you have been in the past? Presuming you win this fight, where next for Tyson Fury?
Whole interview like this, huh? Then he has to have somebody step in as some type of fake translator because he has tape on his mouth like he's a little kid.
Do you think the border control were unfair in the treatment of you, Tyson? Do you plan to keep up the voiceless Tyson Fury for the whole of the build-up of this fight? I was at your first fight with Derek, and you did a lot of talking in the fight. I remember at one point you even pushed Derek to the ropes and leaned over the ropes to actually speak to Frank Warren ringside during the fight. Are we going to see some of that in this fight? So you'll be okay to talk in the fight, just not in the build-up?
And you hear the reporter laughing, like this is funny. But then when there's a black American like Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, nobody's laughing. Old media's acting like they're mad and outraged. This is what I tell you, fake outrages. Listen, he laughing, the reporter's laughing. Like this is little kid games.
What do you think of Derek as a person? He seems a lot calmer now. He isn't reacting the way perhaps he would have done in the past. Do you think he's a lot calmer person now? Tyson.
So let me get this straight. Wilder puts on the headphones and he's a menace to society. He's unprofessional. He doesn't care about his job. He's scared. That's why he doesn't want to face the music. So he's tuning the whole world out, etc., etc. But Tyson Fury, when we're talking about a Caucasian fighter, right, from the UK, he got charged with misconduct. They voted. He had said too many things at a previous press conference, and they were like, no, we're not having that. It's misconduct. Just like his gypsy buddy over the years, Billy Joe Saunders, has had some misconduct. He doesn't have a license in the UK. Come on, what are we talking about, people? What on earth are we talking about? So Tyson Fury can behave like this. Nobody seems to care. Wilder, he told you everything you need to know. He told you how he feels. And because he didn't play Tyson Fury's game, it becomes this big deal. Man, I can't wait for July 24th. And once again, you guys say the behavior is acceptable for certain people. This is what Wilder was talking about. This is what I've been talking about. It's okay for Tyson Fury to play all these games and shenanigans and not talk to the media. But as soon as a brother does it, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, he's public enemy number one. And people infer all these other things. He's scared and he doesn't want to be there and he's terrified. He's having a difficulty dealing with the loss. And the irony of this whole situation is this. These are the actions, people speculating and making things up about Wilder, which is why he's not even talking to them in the first place. A lot of the media, because when he was silent, they were begging for him to talk. And when he was silent, they were saying he was depressed and he's having a difficulty making up the lies. So if he can't, at a public setting like a media scrum, if he can't identify who's who and it's just this one big group, he'd rather just talk to people individually and talk to nobody exclusively unless they're, approved people, because of this very reason, people lying on him. So do you blame Wilder? And again, if you do blame Wilder and you think he's unprofessional, then let me know when I just showed you 2 interviews from Tyson Fury where he didn't want to face the music to rants that he previously did that had him labeled feminist, chauvinistic, misogynistic. He said Klitschko was a devil worshiper. People said he was homophobic, so he had to kiss a man to prove something. Look it all up. Man, y'all don't know what y'all started. I told you I was going to come with the heat. Explain this away. In the comment section, leave me a comment. Tell me how Wilder, he's scared and all this because he didn't speak to the media, but Fury did it too. Checkmate.